Hello. In this video tutorial, we'll briefly go over the process of setting up PowerPTC in your school or district. To get started, we'll head over to powerptc.net, which you can see I've already done here. You'll be prompted to log in if you already have an account. If you don't already have an account, no worries. You can head down to the bottom and click on the sign up for PowerPTC to create an account. I'm going to go ahead and log in with an example account I have for this tutorial. And once I log in, I'll be brought to the dashboard for PowerPTC. We'll start up here at the top. We'll take a look at our little wizard that we have that'll show our progress for setting up our parent-teacher conferences. And down here at the bottom are all the various sections that you'll need to manage components of PowerPTC. So we're going to get started, and we're just going to follow the wizard up at the top here. So the first step it wants us to do is create a location. So we're going to go ahead and click on the step 1, create locations. This brings us to the conference location screen. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new conference location. So I do that by clicking on the little plus icon. The first field is actually a very important one under our location. This is your location number. This will need to match the building numbers or locations that you pull from your SIS system. So with our data, our location number is just going to be 1. And for more information on location number, just see our administrative guide. It'll provide more details on how you should set this number up. I'm going to provide a short title, so I'll just call this HS1 for High School 1. My full title will just be High School phone number. And then I'm going to go ahead and click the Add button to actually add our location. So now that I've added a location, I'm going to go back home. And you can see now that our wizard tells us now it's time to import student and teacher information. So to do this, once again, I'm just going to go ahead and click on the step number 2. So once I click on that, it tells me that I need to upload 5 files. This information is typically pulled from your student information system. We have a tool to facilitate this process called PowerPTC Student Exporter. This tool will generate the 5 files required to be uploaded to PowerPTC, including course information, students, teachers, student enrollments in courses, and teachers teaching courses or teacher enrollments. So the first thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and upload our courses file. And it tells us we have successfully uploaded our courses. Next we'll do students. Then we'll do teachers. Now we'll upload our student enrollments. This file could take a long time depending on the number of students and enrollments in your SIS system. And finally we'll upload our teacher enrollments. If we look down at the bottom of the screen as well, you can also see the import log where any errors would be reported if you had issues uploading your data. Otherwise all 5 files have been successfully uploaded, so we'll go home. Next is step 3, which is where it wants us to create days in PowerPTC. What days are in PowerPTC, if I go ahead and click on the Add button, are essentially we're defining when our conferences are going to start and end, and then when we want to be able to have parents schedule for our conferences, as well as the meeting length, etc., and a few other settings we'll cover in a second. So we're going to start. I'm going to go ahead and say that our conference date is going to be April 30th. So I'm going to pick April 30th, and I'm going to say our conferences are going to start at 10 a.m. And I'm also going to pick April 30th for the end time, and I'm going to say that they're going to end, let's say, at 4 p.m. Now I'm going to select when I would like my conferences to be open for parents to schedule. So I'm going to say parents can start scheduling for my conferences the 13th of April. Actually, we'll give them April 1st at 12 a.m. and we'll allow them to schedule up until, let's say, the 24th. And we'll give them to the end of the day on the 24th. We're going to say our meeting length is 5 minutes, so every meeting will be 5 minutes long that parents can meet with teachers. We're going to pick our location, which we only have one, so we're going to select High School 1. we're going to say we want to pad our schedules. What padding does is if your meeting length and the travel time you would like for parents to travel between appointments is the same, you'd want to pick pad appointments. That basically will, between every appointment that a parent has, it'll add a 5-minute break for them just to be able to travel from one appointment to the next. We also have an option called travel time. This is used if your meeting length and your travel time are not the same. So if you'd like to have 10-minute meetings, but you'd only like 5 minutes for them to travel between, what you would do is you would set 10 minutes up here, uncheck pad appointments, and then we would do 5 minutes for travel in between those appointments. But right now we'll leave it for 5 minutes with padded appointments. And I'm going to go ahead and click Add to add my day. So now we've added our day. It gives us a little information of when our appointments are, when the scheduling is open to parents, and our appointment time is 5 minutes. And we are padding appointments. So now if I go back home, the next thing PowerPTC will prompt us to do is to create meeting places. Meeting places are essentially the areas where your teachers and your parents will meet. So we'll go ahead and click on step 4 and we'll start creating our meeting places. A nice feature of this is we can add all of our teachers from the SIS information that we uploaded in a previous step. We can add meeting places for all of those teachers. This will cut down a lot of the work that we'll have to do. So instead of adding a single meeting place, I'm going to let the system do most of the work for us, and I'm going to click Add for all teachers since we have our teachers uploaded. Teachers also can have breaks assigned within their schedule. This is basically just pre-blocked out time slots where they can either catch up or have a lunch or a dinner. So we're going to tell the system to add breaks for our teachers and just randomize them. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add. So it added a meeting place for each of our teachers. So if we go ahead and look, we'll pick our teacher number 1 here, James Lewis. So I'm going to click on the little edit icon next to their name. And basically it pulled the room number where they're going to meet for parent-teacher conferences from where most of his courses meet in the SIS system. We can add a room description here. So we could say this is room 101. And we could give something more detailed like next to gym. If we want to give parents an idea of where that room actually is, that's optional, not required. I'll just leave it as room 101. It's telling us that it's on floor number 1. This is important because we'll try to prioritize a parent's schedule so they don't have to travel between floors too often. We'll try to make all their appointments that are on the 3rd floor in a block, all their appointments that may be on the 2nd floor in a block, etc. So we can add a description for the floor. We'll just leave that blank. And sector is essentially a subdivision of a floor. So if you have very large floors, you can divide those into areas and just assign them numbers. And then once again, we'll try to keep parents within those sectors whenever possible so they don't have to travel from one side of the building to the other, even within that same floor. This shows us that it's at location High School 1, and it shows our teacher is James Lewis for this meeting place. So if we go in and we go look at our break requests, we can see that the system has assigned a couple breaks for this teacher kind of randomly. So you can allow your teachers to set up their own breaks. You can set up breaks for teachers, but we just allowed the system in this case to randomly assign breaks to a teacher. Live schedule won't have anything right now because we haven't actually built our schedule yet. So when you're creating your meeting places, this is where most of your time will be spent setting up parent-teacher conferences in PowerPTC. It's important to ensure that you have a meeting place for all of your teachers that you would like parents to be able to schedule with, and that you have all the room assignments correct for those teachers. If you get that information right, your parent-teacher conferences should go very smoothly. So now that we have all of our meeting places set up, I'm going to go click on the Home button. And now it's telling me that my next step is to build my schedule. There are some more things that you could do that we'll skip in our setup, like we could have ignored courses for lunch courses or study halls. We can flag courses as being ignored so parents aren't able to schedule in those. Please see the administrative documentation for more information on that. But what we're actually going to do is we're going to build our master schedule. So once we build this is the actual schedule that parents will be scheduling into. It's important really not to change anything in terms of your locations, your days, your meeting places, etc. once you've built this master schedule and parents are scheduling into it. So to build our master schedule, it's really easy. We just want to confirm that we have all of our information added and that it's correct. There's some reports that we offer on the home screen that will aid you in ensuring that you have all of your all of your meeting places and everything set up. Once you've done that and verified your data is correct, you just come to the Build Master Schedule screen that we're on right now. You click Build Master Schedule. You confirm that you would like to create it. And then it'll tell us that our master schedule is built. An important thing to look at on this screen is that our number of records expected is 432, and we have 432 in our schedule, so everything looks like it was built successfully. So after this, we can head back to the home screen, and it tells us that our basic setup is complete. And then here are a few other things that you can do to customize your schedule. So you can add ignored courses that I talked about just a couple minutes ago. You can add teacher accounts. This would allow teachers to be able to take attendance. You would also need teacher accounts if you'd like teachers to be able to assign their own breaks. And you can run reports. That's all under the report section. And you can get help. We have a support section that is, or a ticket system that is built directly into the interface of PowerPTC. So if you run into an issue, you can ask for help directly from the interface. Otherwise, right now, we have set up everything we needed to do to actually have parents schedule their conferences. So we can go in, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go into our users section now. And I'm going to look for a parent account. We have a parent account that's already created. We'll take a look at this parent real quickly. We can see that they have 2 students linked to their account. So that's just represented by these 2 student ID numbers. So we could actually switch to this parent account now, and we can schedule a conference, and we'll see what that looks like then from the parent perspective. So to actually schedule for the parent, what we can do is we can impersonate a parent user. This is very helpful when you want to assist parents that are having problems scheduling or that may not have internet access, etc. So to impersonate a user, you pick the parent you'd like to impersonate, and you click on the little crossing over arrows here, and we'll click on that to impersonate the user. That'll show a little warning dialog at the top of the screen just letting us know that we are currently impersonating another user. And now we see PowerPTC from that parent's perspective. So now we can go into the active student section here, and we can actually pick one of the parent's students and schedule their conferences for them. So I'll go ahead and I'll pick Robert Williams here. So I'll click on Robert Williams. I'll go to Conference Schedule. And this is what a parent sees when they don't have a conference set up yet. So it basically will prompt them of the date that they'd like to attend conferences on. We've only configured one date, so it's only going to prompt them for the one date that we've set up. And then it's going to ask them what time they would like to start their conferences. So let's say this parent would like to do it over their lunch hour. So we're going to go to 12 o'clock. And we'll actually pick 12:10. So we'll say the parent wants to start their conferences at 12:10. They can uncheck any course they would not like to schedule conferences for. So for example, we have a study hall course which we could have ignored and blocked parents from scheduling from, but we didn't do that in our previous setup. So I'll just, as a parent, I can go ahead and uncheck those courses because I don't want to meet with my teacher or with my student's teacher for a study hall or lunch. I can see my students' grade and progress as well as the number of absences they've had in each course. And now I can go ahead and click on Build My Schedule now. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. It tells me it built 5 out of 5 appointments. It excluded those courses that I unchecked that say not scheduled. And now it shows me my time for each of my course appointments here. So I can see that I have an appointment at 12:15, an appointment at 12:25, 12:35, 45, and 55. And if you notice, it went out of order for this appointment that is located on the 3rd floor in room 301 because it wanted to keep the parent on the 1st floor as much as possible, and then lastly send them to the 3rd floor for their appointment. So they would have to travel between floors as minimally as possible. So now as a parent, there's a few things I can do. I could change students right now and schedule my other student. I could print my schedule, email my schedule to myself. I can even add my schedule to Google or Yahoo Calendar. I could delete my schedule if I wanted to abandon all of these appointments and start over. But for right now though, we'll actually exit this parent's account and we'll go ahead and look at what a teacher would see. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the 2 crossing over arrows up here. I'm going to click on that. That'll bring me back to myself. So now I'm just an administrator of PowerPTC. You notice that the box at the top went away. I'm going to go once again to the users section, but this time I'm going to go to list teachers on the left hand menu. And here I'm going to pick, or actually I'll add a teacher account. Teacher, add example.com. You would obviously want to use the teacher's real email address. And their first name will be teacher, last name teacher. We'll give them a password. Give them a teacher number of 1 because I know that's a valid teacher in my system. And then lastly, I go ahead and click add. My teacher has been added to the system, and now just like parents, I can impersonate this teacher. So if I go ahead and click on impersonate user, it's going to bring me into the teacher's account now. I obviously don't have a option to select students like I did as a parent, but I do have conference schedule, and under this section I can, as a teacher now, see my my schedule in progress. So I can see now that I have 2 students that are scheduled with me, one at 12:15 and one at 12:25. So it's for the same student, Robert Williams. One is for Math 101 and one is for Physical Education 6. As a teacher, I could also take attendance. So there's the attended column here. And if you look for each appointment, I can actually mark now that this student attended my conferences. It's actually giving me an error right now because our conferences aren't taking place. We're too early. It'll only allow teachers to record this once conferences start. Aside from that, teachers are able to download their schedule. So from there, they'd be able to print it out. So you can go ahead and click on that. And it's basically the same format that they see online, just in a PDF format where they could actually print it out. It includes the student's grade and absences, so they could bring that up as talking points with parents during the conference. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the button to exit impersonation. This will bring me back to my administrative account. That's essentially the process you would go through to set up parent-teacher conferences for your district. As I stated earlier, I'd highly recommend going into the Document and Files section after logging in and taking a look at the Administrative User Guide. This document has much more detailed information about how you'd actually go about setting up your parent-teacher conferences, including getting information in there from your student information system, including how to use the Student Exporter tool. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy using PowerPTC.